Claim they like riding, but I know that they ain't. Ride or die. I go hard in the paint, yeah, homie, I'm a saint. Ride or die.
Hey guys, just a quick intro to this. So, this is kind of unique. I got to chat with one of my favorite pro wrestlers when I was younger. Still very, very funny, charismatic individual. Jesse the Body Ventura, as you can see by some of the action figures on the wall, replica belt that I have, that I'm pretty much a pro wrestling nerd. And so you'll see me geek out a little bit in the beginning, and then I got to ask him some questions about the current product. I got to ask him some other questions about being in the Predator movie, a little bit of general chat, and then I had to go because naturally there was a lot of people waiting in line in the queue. But anyway, enjoy the video.
Business right there. 1%er business acumen right there.
Oh God, it was. I basically almost had to grab him by the scruff of the neck and the pants and
Toss him out of the office.
toss him out of the office. I couldn't take it no more.
All right, here. Speaking of someone who just walked into the office, is James is tired. James, unmute and welcome to the governor's office.
Yeah, thank you for letting me join. I'm honored that I get to speak with Jesse. Like I used to love watching him call matches as a kid. Probably my favorite calling commentary caller. Like it's good. Like I'm actually geeking out, probably tripping over my words more than I normally would.
Relax, James. Take it easy. Anyway, what do you want to know, man?
I had one question, kind of a wrestling question,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
No.
Have you followed any of the new product? Do you like what WWE is doing better than AEW, or are you kind of away from that at this moment?
James, I don't. I will. Wrestling will occasionally be there when I'm channel surfing, and I've left it on and I've tried, and I can't really get past 2 or 3 minutes. And then I have no interest in it whatsoever, and I move on. I think that I couldn't be today in that business because I developed Jesse the Body Ventura was a creation of me. And today the promoter creates the character and then they plug a body in and the body has to become the person. I shouldn't say the body, don't get confused with Jesse the Body. The person has to then become that character rather than the person creating their own character.
Yeah, that's so true because you portrayed.
And I couldn't do that, James. They can't create me. I can create me.
Hey, that makes perfect sense. Like I loved your work, and I remember a kid, one of my favorite movies. You were in it, and I love how like you always stood your ground on things, and you're like, I'm gonna do this. This is right for me. But the first Predator movie, like that was. I watched that probably over and over again when I was a
Well,
kid.
thank you. I had to quit wrestling to do it.
Oh yeah,
Vince wasn't going to let me do it. He told me he needed me and that I couldn't go do it. And so I said, no, Vince, I quit. And because my attitude was, you're going to co-star with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, by the time you're done doing that, you can always come back to wrestling. I mean,
oh yeah.
and I had a good idea that I was making the right decision because look at what Hulk Hogan's role in Rocky III did for him.
Oh yeah.
That's really true.
Hulk Hogan was nothing big until Rocky III came out.
That's true. That's very true.
And Rocky III is what gave Hogan his initial boost into stardom was his role in Rocky III. Well, Jesse's not a dummy. I watched that and thought, I even said to Vince, I said one day, hey, Vince, is the key to this business to go get famous at something else and then come back to it? Vince looked at me and smiled and said, "You're learning."
So great.
So all I did, I knew that going off and doing Predator with Arnold was going to do nothing but boost me in wrestling. And then it helped because while I was doing Predator, Arnold asked me to do the Running Man. And I negotiated that before I went back to Vince. So I had the Running Man in my back pocket for the fall. And to be nice and to be not use vulgar terms, that gave me what I term as FU money. If you know, James, what FU money is?
Yes, I do. It's why you always stood your ground, even if it didn't make you money. But that's one thing I've always admired.
Well, it isn't so much standing your ground; it's survival, James, and it's dealing. Yeah, and it's knowing and having the experience of dealing with wrestling promoters and growing up and going through what I had gone through in that business, and then getting into the normal entertainment business and seeing how truly backward and caveman the wrestling business was.
That's fascinating.
And all I did was try to bring norms to wrestling. And here's one thing I could never figure out. Well, I did figure it out. Wrestling is on TV. And you'd figure that AFTRA, the TV union, would come after wrestling to join their union. Because we were on TV all across the nation wrestling. But then I realized why they wouldn't do it. They didn't want nothing to do with wrestling because if wrestlers joined the AFTRA union, at that time they provided health care.
Oh, that would shoot those
numbers. Can you imagine if they had all these wrestlers now and they had to pay for their health care?
Oh, man, with the injuries and everything else. Oh.
That's why the union never came and supported wrestling. Yeah, because you'd think AFTRA, that's television.
Yeah, on TV.
And they're TV performers. They're on every freaking week.
Yep.
You know, why didn't the AFTRA union come in and say, hey, you got to join the union?
James, I got to say, man, thank you for coming up and thank you for being such a fan, man. It's truly great having people like you out there.
I just appreciate you giving me the time. Thank both you guys.
Sure. And I give you the story behind the scenes. You know, that's a true story. That the whole wrestling thing was, it truly there in the early part of that business, you had no rights whatsoever. All the rules were written by the promoters, and you were expected to obey them.
Wow. That's
like they could fire you on the spot, but you had to give them a notice. You know.
Well,
you had.
They could fire.
They could fire you on the spot and send you packing your bag. But in order for you to leave, you have to give them like 3 weeks to a month at minimum.
Oh, God, that's so unfair.
I go hard in the paint, yeah, homie, I'm a saint. Ride or die.